Well, having made our way back from the podium, we now see the preliminaries of the KF final, scheduled to weigh at 15:25. Starting this one on pole position will be Callum Eilert from Great Britain, joined on the front row by fellow Brit Mark Litchfield. Nicholas Nielsen and Lando Norris are row 2, and all of those guys, with the exception of Mark Litchfield, are in with an opportunity to win the championship. It could happen. Row 3, Paolo Besançonnet and Tom Joyner. Tom Joyner is third in the championship and he could win it from here. Pedro Hiltbrand and Julian Darras are row 4. Josh Price and Nico Kari, row 5. That completes the top 10. Those are the drivers you see. To the bottom left of your screen, cart number 106 is Callum Eilert. That's a Zanardi Perilla that Callum drives. And Callum driving for the Zanardi Straka Racing Team, a Swedish racing team. Nice shot there of the outer parts. That's the approach to the Litchfield Bridge that you see on your screen now, coming back to the home shot of the start position. To the extreme right of your screen, cart 192 Mark Litchfield. You see the, well, sort of black and orange livery, 192. That's a Cosmic chassis with a TM motor. Mark Litchfield driving for the Paul Fletcher International Karting Team. Cart 133 that you see in shot there is Nikita Maspin. Nikita Maspin, one of our Russian drivers, he had to negotiate the second chance race this morning. Well, he's negotiated it and gets a start in the final. He starts on row 10. 102 there is Carol Bash. Well, momentarily you could see Carol Bash and you could see his Tony Kart Vortex. Carol Bash, who has been a front runner in this championship and all of these the heats yesterday, but it went wrong for him in the pre-final a little bit. I think we got a brief glimpse there of Hannah Pym in cart 140, the only lady in the race. 5-minute board being shown. The 5-minute board being shown by the grid lady. The KF final will be raced over 22 laps. 22 laps, that's 30 kilometres, 30.4 kilometres, just under 20 miles. So a race of pretty reasonable length. (113) to the bottom right of your screen that you saw momentarily there. Cart number 113, Karol Dabski driving for the Praga Perilla team. But Karol not had one of his better events. Always a very fast driver. But starting this one on row 9, be a struggle to win from there. But it's not impossible. Nice shot there on our CIK TV of the crowd up on the banking. And a nice general overall shot. As you can see, we've got blue sky, we've got sunshine, we've got white clouds, a little bit of dark cloud, but it doesn't look as if we're going to have any kind of rain. Looks as if we've got perfect racing conditions for the KF final. And of course, the determination of the KF Championship. Well, Enem Ahmed went into that KF Junior final with a big lead in the championship. It's not such a big lead in the championship in this one. Nicholas Nielsen has 78 points. Callum Eilert has 74 points. So win this one and win the championship. And they're starting on the inside of the first row, Callum on pole, and the inside of the second row, Nicholas on row 2. So that will be the 3-minute board, 3-minute board. And mechanics being invited in a moment to leave the grid. The FIA banners that you see at the top of your screen, FIA Action for Road Safety, very much part of the FIA's concern now. It's not simply regulating motorsport, but bringing to motorsport and to motoring generally the principles of road safety. And since in motorsport, karting is the start. Oh, and that was a lovely little shot of a British summer scene. Lady and gentlemen eating their ice creams, sitting on their folding chairs on the top of the banking. So we say farewell to our grid girls. We shall see some of those again at the podium at the end of the race. But thank you, ladies, for what you've done on the grid today. Nicholas Nielsen, 78 championship points. Callum Eilert, 74 championship points. Tom Joyner, third in the championship standings with 57. The top 3 drivers in the championship start on the first, second and third rows. 1-minute board, 1-minute board. We're close to the action. .30 board. Well, once again, thank you to those of you that have tuned in online to CIK TV. We very much appreciate the fact that you want to be with us online if you can't be here in person. We really do. To those of you that are here, hope we have a great race to make a great finale to our racing weekend. So there's the start grid shown on screen. Callum Eilert and Mark Litchfield on the front row. Championship leader Nicholas Nielsen starting on the inside of row 2. Lando Norris a potential spoiler. Mark Litchfield a potential spoiler. Hannah Pym starting in P27 on the 14th row, the only lady in the race. Hannah Pym from England, the only lady in the race. Considerable misfortune for Felicia Tierney and Oliver Hodgson. They're going to have to start from the back row, but we may see some fireworks from them coming through from the back row. Very good drivers, each of them. Oliver Hodgson on a Cosmic TM, Felicia Tierney, a CRG factory driver on a CRG Perilla. Everybody in this race, of course, on Dunlop tyres. Callum Eilert is on pole position and Mark Litchfield joins him on the front row. Nicholas Nielsen and Lando Norris are row 2. Paolo Besonsone and Tom Joyner row 3. Pedro Hiltbrand and Julian Darras, row 4. Josh Price and Nico Kari complete the top 10 on row 5. Here we go. That's Callum Eilert to the left of your screen, Mark Litchfield to the right of your screen. And we're racing. No, we're not racing. We're going round again. We're going round again. This is an aborted start. An aborted start. We are not racing. Well, there's various reasons why a start is aborted. If the formation is incorrect, that's one. In sporting interests, if somebody is a long, long way behind through no real fault of their own, that's another. And when the approach speed is too quick for safety. And whilst I'm not privy to the thinking of Joel Blanc, I have my suspicion that that was too quick an approach by Callum Eilert and Mark Litchfield. As you can see on the screen, those of you here can see, perfect racing conditions for the KF final and the determination of the 2014 European Championship. We try again. Callum Eilert to the left of your screen, Mark Litchfield to the right as we approach. And we're racing, and Callum Eilert gets a much better start than Mark Litchfield, and Nicholas Nielsen goes through in second place. Mark Litchfield making a very extravagant left to right move there, but I think that's left him in round about 5th or 6th place. So, well, looking at the top of the Litchfield Bridge, maybe that's him in 3rd place, but certainly Callum Eilert and Nicholas Nielsen are your front running two. And Nicholas Nielsen takes the lead right at the start, and going through, well, that was a little bit of a misjudgment perhaps by Callum Eilert. Paolo Besoncenet is now in 2nd place, the Frenchman in 2nd place behind Nicholas Nielsen. Nicholas Nielsen having a long look, Callum Eilert in 3rd place. So on screen you're seeing Nicholas Nielsen, 78 points in the championship. If Nicholas Nielsen was to win this championship, he would be the champion, but hey, whilst I'm quite neutral about who wins the championship, I hope we have a really good race and not simply a procession at the front. Paolo Besoncenet in 2nd place, the Frenchman who wasn't going very well in the early stages of this event, going well now in 2nd place. Callum Eilert trying to go through into 2nd place, and Callum Eilert does, I think, go through into 2nd place on the Litchfield Bridge. Yes, he does. So Nicholas Nielsen now leading, Callum Eilert in 2nd place. Paolo Besoncenet saying to the guys behind, that's Pedro Hiltbrand, come on, let's chase them. Don't let's fight each other, let's chase them. Now, Nicholas Nielsen is looking over his shoulder. That's about the 4th time that he's looked over his shoulder. He does it again this early in the race. Nicholas, we've got a 22-lap race. So if you look behind you as you do again, there'll be somebody there for sure. I always feel uncomfortable when a driver's looking behind him too early on. If I was a driver behind, I would be thinking, well, every time you look round, I'm going to be right there, except when I drive past you. This is the end of lap 2 of 22. It is therefore the start of lap 3. And there goes the move by Callum Eilert into the lead. Callum Eilert underneath the Litchfield Bridge takes the lead off Nicholas Nielsen, and the poleman now having the lead, and Nicholas Nielsen behind him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just offer you a tiny... Now Callum Eilert is looking over his shoulder. I offer you a tiny piece of a tidbit at the start of the race. If the race finished with Callum Eilert first and Nicholas Nielsen second, they would tie on 94 points for the championship. We'll talk about how the tiebreak goes if that situation comes about. Callum Eilert leads, Nicholas Nielsen in 2nd place, Pedro Hiltbrand 3rd, Paolo Besoncenet 4th, Tom Joyner 5th. There you see Tom. Mark Litchfield is the 6th of those drivers, behind Tom Joyner, a little bit of a gap. Talking about a little bit of a gap, Callum Eilert now getting himself a little bit closer. Well, I think I told you that the virtual championship would put them together. Now with Callum Eilert in the lead, it would be 99 points to Callum Eilert 89 to Nicholas Nielsen, so a victory for Callum Islet. Let's have a look at instant replay. Well, it's already done and dusted. Callum Islet has gone through nicely. Nicholas Nielsen, if he loses to Callum Islet, loses the championship. Nicholas Nielsen, if he lost to somebody else and Callum was way down the field, could still win it. Callum Islet win the championship by winning the race has to be his best strategy. We're coming to the end of lap 4, the start of lap 5. Callum Islet's lead over Nicholas Nielsen is 0.3 of a second. And you can see their lovely shots on CIK TV. You can see just how that margin has widened. Bigger margin between second and third. Fastest lap to Callum Islet at 54.9, so dropping into 56.9, dropping into the 56s now. And going from fourth to third is Pedro Hiltbrand. Pedro Hiltbrand, the Spaniard you see in shot there. Pedro Hiltbrand has just gone past Paolo Besancone. Paolo Besancone, let's have a look how that happened. Well, no, this is Nick Nielsen and Callum Islet, isn't it? Yeah, there's the move. There is the move. The start of the move that saw Pedro Hiltbrand and Paolo Besancone trade places. Alessio Lorandi running 5th, Mark Litchfield 6th, Gabriel Aubrey 7th. And again, that passing move that we see. Cart number 155 is Paolo Besancone, losing out to cart number 115, Pedro Hiltbrand. We're on lap 6, going over the Litchfield Bridge for the 6th time of 22, and this is Callum Islet leading. Fastest lap for Pedro Hiltbrand. Cart number 115, Pedro Hiltbrand, quick, but he's 1.2 seconds behind Callum Islet at this stage. But although he's 1.2 seconds behind, it is a 22-lap race, and we're only on lap 6. We're not yet, well, we're just approaching the first quarter, aren't we? Nice shot there, cart number 155, Paolo Besancone. But he's running in 4th place at the moment behind Pedro Hiltbrand, Nicholas Nielsen, and your leader at the top of your screen, Callum Islet. He looks over his head. As Callum Islet looked over his head, Nick Nielsen dipped his head against the wind and almost looked as if when Callum Islet looked over, Nicholas Nielsen was saying, I don't want you to see me, I'll drop my head. Callum Islet's fastest lap is 56.66, or sorry, his last lap, 56.66. Nicholas Nielsen's done a 56.64. So Nicholas Nielsen minimally quicker. But Callum Islet in front of Nicholas Nielsen equals a Callum Islet champion. Tom Joyner would be on the championship podium if things finished as they are at the moment. Tom Joyner running 8th. Callum Islet leading. Nicholas Nielsen on the Cosmic Vortex driving the identifiable suit in the Cosmic House colours. Callum Islet on that Zanardi Perilla in the very light race suit. This is the start of lap 8. Nice shot there of the exit from the Litchfield Bridge, the underpass, the climb up on the left-hand turn to go over the Litchfield Bridge. Lando Norris sets the fastest lap. Lando Norris has dropped down to 12th place, and although I didn't mention in commentary, I didn't really know why Lando Norris. He started on the 2nd row, and it was a little bit of a surprise to see Lando going down out of the top 10. Well, he's running the quickest of everybody at the moment, but just outside of the top 10 he's running quickest. On lap 8, Callum Islet continuing to hold this advantage. The drivers coming through, you see it here, are those from the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The margin in favour of Callum Islet, as our caption shows, is 0.45 of a second. It's a much bigger margin between Pedro Hiltbrand and Paolo Besancone. Alessio Lorandi has had a really mixed bag of emotions here, leading the race by a huge margin on Saturday when he went out with a seized motor, and having had to find himself in the last chance race in relatively recent times, can you believe? But going well here. Callum Islet being pursued by Nicholas Nielsen, and Pedro Hiltbrand in 3rd place, getting closer to Nicholas Nielsen. These are the lower order of the top 10, but these are the front-running three. 115, Pedro Hiltbrand. 103, Nicholas Nielsen. 106, Callum Eilert. It's Callum Eilert in shot now, with the predominantly orange colour on the helmet, but the very light racing suit. Once again, Callum Eilert peeps over his shoulder, and Nicholas Nielsen dips his head against the wind resistance. Callum Eilert building on this lead though, climbing up the hill, left-handed, to go over the overpass at the Lichfield Bridge. You see the very healthy crowd we've got here at PF International Circuit. Really good turnout by the local and not so local kart racing fans. 115 you saw in shot there was a really nice picture of Pedro Hiltbrand on that CRG Perilla, driving in the CRG house colours. A lot of people say that that's a nicer set of colours now for CRG than the previously all darker ones. Pedro Hiltbrand in front of Paolo Besancene fourth, Alessio Lorandi still fifth, Mark Litchfield hanging into a top 10 place, running in sixth, Tom Joyner in 8th place. Ollie Hodgson is in 10th place, is he? Oliver Hodgson, no, 15th place, but that's having started right at the back. Oliver Hodgson has come through the field to 15th, halfway through the field to 15th. Lap 11, and so at the end of this lap we shall be at the half race distance. Callum Eilert's lead is half a second. Doesn't sound a lot, but it does look as if well, Lando Norris now setting another fastest lap, and there is kart number 132, Alessio Lorandi, going from 5th to 4th, and our television cameras picked that up absolutely perfectly. Alessio Lorandi going from 5th to 4th at the expense of the Frenchman Paolo Besancene, so the Italian Lorandi now in 4th place. There's a nice instant replay picture on CIK TV. Very sweetly done by Alessio Lorandi. Once Paolo Besancene saw that nose cone alongside him to the right, there was nothing legitimate that he could do about it. Callum Eilert, a quick swivel of the head to see what's what. Well, Nicholas Nielsen is just slightly closer, 0.47 of a second now, but Pedro Hiltbrand getting closer to Nicholas Nielsen. If the championship was to end here, Callum Eilert would have 99 points, Nicholas Nielsen would have 89 points, Tom Joyner would have 60, Lando Norris would have 60. Callum Eilert would be the champion. But that's only the half race distance. 11 laps have gone. This is lap 12 of 22. So we've still got, 15 kilometres to race. Biggest part of 10 miles still to be raced. Nice pictures there, action pictures of Callum Eilert. I do applaud our television director, WSK Promotions, providing these fabulous pictures for CIK TV. And really, really good shot there. And Callum Eilert this time doing a Nicholas Nielsen and dipping his head against the visor, against the windshield. Well, Nicholas Nielsen is definitely getting a little bit closer to Callum Eilert, but is he getting closer quickly enough? Pedro Hiltbrand looks over his shoulder. This is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, and in particular 5th and 6th. Paolo Besancene, and there goes Mark Litchfield up from 6th to 5th. Mark Litchfield caught on our cameras at the right spot at the right moment. Mark Litchfield elevates himself from 6th place to 5th on lap 13. Let's have a look at that in instant replay. There is Mark Litchfield, the elder statesman of English karting, going sweetly through Paolo Besancene and into 5th place. This is Callum Eilert that you're looking at, pursued by Nicholas Nielsen. Pedro Hiltbrand at the top of your screen. Into Pedro going for a little while on the grass there, didn't he? He was a little later rejoining the tarmac proper, having gone on to the extended rumble. Callum Eilert driving, as we say, for a Swedish team, a British driver driving for a Swedish team, Zanardi Striker Racing, as indeed is Tom Joyner. And Tom Joyner now slipping off the championship, virtual championship podium, because Lando Norris at this moment has got an extra point than Tom Joyner. So at this moment, Lando Norris would be third in the championship. But hey, they're just numbers. We've got a great race to watch, haven't we? Callum Eilert, is he doing all that he needs to do to take him to a championship? There's a nice shot of Pedro Hiltbrand. Pedro Hiltbrand drives a CRG Perilla in kart number 115. Really good action shot of Pedro. I did say earlier on today in commentary he was a top runner in this championship at the early part of the season, but when we went to Zuera, Spain, his home event, it all went wrong for some reason. Well, Callum Ilott now really striking out. Our virtual championship being shown to you, showing that Callum Ilott has a 10-point advantage at this moment. But remember, if Nielsen was to pass Ilott, it would then go to equal. Now, there goes Mark Litchfield in kart 192 past Alessio Lorandi, and Mark Litchfield moves up to 4th place. Alessio Lorandi being relegated now to 5th. Let's look at that again in instant replay. Almost an identical move by Mark Litchfield on Alessio Lorandi as the move that he put on Paolo Basansone a couple of laps previously. Lorandi now 5th, Basansone 6th, Gabriel Aubrey 7th, Tom Joyner 8th, Lando Norris 9th, and Nico Kari in 10th place. We've lost Oliver Norris, we've lost John Norris, we've lost Carol Bash. Unfortunate to lose anybody, but Carol Bash has been a really strong contender in this championship, so unlucky for him. This is kart number 16 as we get something of a fly past by a vintage aircraft looking over towards the right of the circuit, which sadly none of our cameras will be able to pick up. Lincolnshire is a part of the United Kingdom where there are several airfields, military airfields of the past, but we're here to watch the racing. And that is Callum Ilott. He is here to keep his concentration. He couldn't care 2 hoots if there's a flying pig in the sky or whether it's a Vulcan bomber. He's here to win this race, and in winning the race to win the European Championship. This is the end of lap 16. We set off now on lap 17, or Callum Ilott does. Nicholas Nielsen behind him, but there's 0.9 of a second, 9/10 of a second between them. The pair of them are 2.5 seconds clear of Pedro Hiltbrand in 3rd place, so this race at the front, if it was a race much closer, we could have said this is just a thrilling climax. I have to say that with Callum Ilott having the lead that he has, you would feel that it would have to be something of a disaster befalling Callum Ilott not to win from here. And whilst I'm completely neutral in my race call, I wouldn't want any championship to be lost on a disaster. I want to see it on a fair race, and if this goes fairly onwards from here, this is lap 17 of 22 and 9/10 of a second in favour of Callum Ilott, it would be hard to see Nicholas Nielsen closing that gap entirely. But these are the front 2 bidding for victory in the race, and the front 2 are bidding for victory in the championship. It is between these 2 now. If both of them went out, Tom Joyner could win it, but we're not anticipating both of them going out. In fact, actually, I'm not sure that Tom Joyner could. Yes, I think he perhaps could on drop scores. We're on lap 18. Callum Ilott's lead is still 0.9 of a second. Oliver Hodgson up to 14th. I remind you that he started on the last row. So a good drive by Oliver Hodgson, driving for Paul Fletcher International Karting Team, as is Mark Litchfield, who is running in 4th place in kart number 192. Callum Ilott in shot, Nicholas Nielsen in shot, no one else close enough to be seen. Callum Ilott turning right onto the home straight, this for the 18th time. Doesn't look over his shoulder this time, and Nicholas Nielsen doesn't dip his head this time. Under the Litchfield Bridge for the 18th time, Callum Ilott turns right, climbs up the grade, turns right over the Litchfield Bridge. Nicholas Nielsen in 2nd place, and a long way back to there is Pedro Hiltbrand in shot now. He's being pursued by Mark Litchfield in 4th, and Mark Litchfield pursued by Alessio Lorandi in 5th. Mark Litchfield may be feeling that he would like to get a 3rd place, because if he got a 3rd place, he'd make the podium. Doesn't feature anywhere in the championship standings, but he would make the podium if he was to pass Pedro Hiltbrand. There are 3 laps remaining after this one, 4 laps including the one we're on. Callum Ilott looking comfortable, isn't he, in that light coloured racing suit, driving the Zanardi Carilla. Nicholas Nielsen, I don't know if I'm imagining it, but it just looks to me in the body language of Nicholas Nielsen a sort of resignation. Look, I'm doing the best I can, but I'm not going to be able to catch this guy. Good race though for the last step of the podium. Pedro Hiltbrand holding on from, looks over his shoulder and sees Mark Litchfield in close order, and Alessio Lorandi is not a million miles behind either, because Alessio Lorandi is a lot closer to Mark Litchfield than he was moments ago. But our screen shows Callum Eilert on lap 20 of 22, leading Nicholas Nielsen by over a second now, 1.03 of a second. The first time that he's put a full 1 second between himself and Nicholas Nielsen, but nevertheless a really good dominant display throughout, even though he hadn't got a full second advantage before. Well, this is lap 21 in a 22 lap race. It's now down to, does everything go okay for Callum Eilert? Wouldn't wish a disaster upon... Oh, and Mark Litchfield and Pedro Hiltbrand and Alessio Lorandi have had a coming together. They're all continuing, but Alessio Lorandi is now in third place. Our camera's capturing that. Alessio Lorandi now holding that third podium place. Callum Eilert still leading. There he is in shot in the middle of your screen. The late afternoon sunshine catching his helmet, or mid-afternoon sunshine catching his helmet. Nicholas Nielsen in shot now briefly. Behind them, Alessio Lorandi, Mark Litchfield and Pedro Hiltbrand, having had a very good dice for third place. Alessio Lorandi has pulled well clear of the rest of them as we start the final lap. So let's go round with Callum Eilert, turning left under the Litchfield Bridge, turning left again over the Litchfield Bridge, turning right to drop down the ramp as it would be if this was at Monaco, onto the first part of the back straight at the PF International Circuit. Then the two consecutive 180-degree hairpin turns. First the right one, now the left one. Moving down on the return home straight, turning left-right through the chicane. There's the right-hand turn onto the second part of the back straight here at PF International Circuit. Right-handed into the technical complex, past the pits turn, right and left. A sweeping left-hander now, one more right turn, that puts him onto the home straight. There's the checkered flag, and the championship is in the bag as well as the race victory. Nicholas Nielsen a little bit disconsolate in second place. Alessio Lorandi coming home third. Mark Litchfield fourth, Pedro Hiltbrand fifth, Lando Norris 6th, Paolo Besançonnet 7th, Gabriel Aubrey 8th, Tom Joyner 9th, and Nico Kari completing the top 10. Unofficially, because everything your commentator tells you is unofficial, but unofficially, Callum Eilert has 99 championship points, Nicholas Nielsen has 89 championship points, and Lando Norris has 64 championship points. So just with Enem Ahmed, we get a race victory, securing a European Championship. Callum Eilert wins it from Nicholas Nielsen second and Alessio Lorandi third. Well, once again, for those of you tuned in to CIK TV, we'll put quickly together the highlights package. There is confirmation of the result. Callum Eilert 1, Nicholas Nielsen 2, Alessio Lorandi 3, Mark Litchfield just off the podium in 4th place. Good drive by Yifan Jar to 19th place when he was couldn't just do a thing right. And Oliver Hodgson and Johan Daravula in 14th and 15th have done well coming right through from the back. Oliver Hodgson in particular coming through from the back row. We lost John Norris, Carol Bash. We lost Hannah Pym, unfortunately, before the half race distance. In fact, we lost Hannah Pym thinking about it right at the start. So we didn't have a lady in the race for very long. Okay, here's our highlights package as Callum Eilert takes the lead. Nicholas Nielsen follows him round. And Nicholas Nielsen at this point just taking the lead off Callum Eilert, and Mark Litchfield driving through as well. A lot of looking around, wasn't there? A lot of hand signals, gestures. Part number 155, Paolo Besançonnet, I feel sure he was saying, come on, don't let's fight each other, let's fetch these two back. At this point, Nicholas Nielsen is leading from Callum Eilert, and there's Callum Eilert taking the lead, and Nicholas Nielsen just having to give second best. Fought hard to defend that passing move, didn't he? Really fought hard. And Nicholas Nielsen at this point on our picture working tremendously. Pedro Hiltbrand going through past cart 155. Paolo Besançonnet at that point, and Pedro Hiltbrand at that point was moving up into third place. There is Paolo Besançonnet losing that third place to cart number 132, Alessio Lorandi. Alessio Lorandi was due to finish, or was destined to finish third, but not without a little bit more action, because there's Mark Litchfield going through past Alessio Lorandi and relegating him down to fourth. And there is Mark Litchfield going further forward, getting himself back up into third place, but it wasn't to last for the elder statesman in English karting. This is Callum Eilert late in the race, finding it all very easy and celebrating with that two-handed punch of the air. Once again, Callum Eilert of Great Britain wins it. Nicholas Nielsen of Denmark in second place. Alessio Lorandi of Italy in third place. The champion is Callum Eilert. We go to the podium.
Troppo?
Once again, any of you in the region of the podium, we do urge you to come to the podium ceremony.
Always adds a lot of atmosphere if there's plenty of you here. You're not going to lose your good spot for watching the race, because that is the end of racing, but it's not the end of our activities here. The KF podium coming up very, very shortly.
Good race, eh?
Well done, Alessio. Well
Very
done.
good, very good move.
Excellent. Well done.
You saw that race.
So we are ready to go ahead with the podium ceremony in KF. Podium ceremony in KF, and just have a look again at Luisa. Okay, we call to the podium, please. The driver in third place from Italy, it's Alessio Lorandi. We call the driver in second place. So good a driver at this level, but just missing out again. But a great drive from Nicholas Nielsen. But the guy that did have the answers today wins the race. Your champion from Great Britain, Callum Eilert. And we call to the podium the winning team representative, which is Mr. Richard Franchini. Well done, Richard, from Straka Racing of Sweden. So with the boys and the winning team rep on the podium, let us acknowledge the victory of Callum Eilert by the playing of the national anthem of the United Kingdom. Yes, the national anthem of the United Kingdom, acknowledging the victory of Callum Eilert. And we'll now ask the hostesses to pass the trophies to the relevant celebrities. Mr. John Ryan, the MSA Technical Executive, presents the third place trophy to Alessio Lorandi. Well done, Alessio. Mr. Alan McNish, the former Le Mans 24-hour winner, former Formula One driver, top British motorsport driver, presents the second place trophy to Nicholas Nielsen. Mr. Rob Jones, the MSA Chief Executive, presents the trophy to our winner, Callum Eilert. And Mr. Randolph Bart, the CIKFIA coordinator, makes the trophy presentation to the winning team rep, Mr. Richard Franchini of Zanarda Straki Racing. Thank you, gentlemen. And now we have the ladies with the flowers making their own presentation to the guys. Yes, why not? A little round of applause. Why not, Louisa? Why not? And we also have some tyres. That can't be bad, can it? And a Panther fuel voucher goes also to the winner, but that may be handed to him a little later. Okay, if that's all the presentation, it's photo time. And when the photographers tell us if they've got everything they need, we can move on. Just a reminder that we also have a secondary podium presentation after this, so don't hurry away. We just have another small subsidiary presentation immediately after this one. Okay, I think the photographers have had sufficient time. It's time for that fizzy water, sometimes called champagne, often found all over us. Do the quick interview with you before the others go? Yeah, okay. I think we get ourselves in front of the television. Okay, I think we are able to talk with Callum Eilert, the winner of the race and our champion. Callum, it was very much a deja vu situation for us spectators. It was the guy on pole position win the race to become the champion. Wasn't quite as easy as that, though, was it? How did the race go for you in the early stages?
The early stages, Nicholas put a lot of pressure under me. I was just trying to be consistent, get away. I didn't really have the speed that I did in the beginning of the weekend in that race, but every lap I was just trying to do the same over and over again, which worked out in the end.
Was there a point in the race when you thought, gosh, I've got to dig deeper than I really wanted to have to, or did you feel it was always there if you could hang on to Nicholas?
Well, I had to dig deep as soon as I overtook him, otherwise it was going to be a losing battle if I didn't keep going, but it worked out. So.
And at what stage in the race did you think, if ever, gosh, he's not going to catch me now, I am the champion?
It was probably the last 5 laps, but I felt I had a little problem with the cart when I went over bumps. It kept touching the ground, so I was a bit worried then, but I just tamed it down a little bit and kept going.
Well, ever so well done, Callum, and it's ever so deserved. You don't win this on one race here at PF. You've won it fair and square over the season. Ladies and gentlemen, a very worthy champion, Callum Eilert. Well, I don't want you to go too far away, the spectators. We're just going to call Enam Ahmed back because we've got a trophy presentation to him that he was unexpected. As Nicholas Nielsen leaves the podium, I am going to say my own little comment, which is what a great driver Nicholas is and how